Hey there, welcome to another episode of Life Design Plus, where we are mastering the art of living your authentic life. I am excited to introduce to you my friend and my instructor in the Kinder Evoke process, Rosemarie McKinnon. We have a great conversation about life planning, but we take it to a different direction than I've done in the past. I've had Scott Frank on before to talk about life planning. I've done some solo episodes, but Rosemarie and I connected over a higher level approach to life planning, some of the woo, if you will, of financial planning and life planning. And I wanted to have her on to kind of talk about life planning and what it is, but then also hit to these higher dimensions that play into life planning that you may not think of when you think about your financial plan and a life plan. So I'm really excited to bring some woo to life planning, some woo to financial planning with Rosemarie. And I think we're going to do some more of these in the future, maybe a little bit more specific if you all like that. I know we're going to do some, but I'm hopeful that you all enjoy hearing a different approach to financial planning and life planning and want to learn more. So with that, I'm going to end this really quick and let you get to this conversation with my friend Rosemarie McKinnon. To kind of kick things off, I like to have my guests give their own introduction because I can go read your bio and I know you from class, but maybe there are things about yourself that you want to make sure people know. So it doesn't have to be a long intro, but just kind of a little bit of your background, who you are, what you do, and then we'll dive into how you came to life planning and just kind of go down that conversation.
Sure. Okay. Well, obviously, my name's Rosemarie McKinnon. I am a 28-year financial planning professional. And in and about the 10th year of my career, I found that, and it was 2008. It was shortly after the big market crash of 2008. I just felt that I wanted to bring more. I wanted to do more for clients. I felt that, if all we did was deliver rate of return and comprehensive financial plans, that was great. I mean, that's part of it, and I love doing that part of it. But for me to stay in the business, in those times, it had to be more than just about the money for me. And so I was kind of, going through a little bit of a spiritual evolution. I was into books like the Celestine Prophecy, and watching movies like What the Bleep Do They Know and The Secret and things like that. So I was kind of getting a little woo woo in my own life, but I've always been like that. I kind of like the magic, the behind the scenes thing, and just always feeling like there was more to this life than just making money, buying houses, and doing all of that sort of 3D kind of stuff. So I Googled one day financial planning and spirituality, and I found George Kinder. And so that's how I learned about George and the books that he wrote and the school that he was hosting. And I felt that it was exactly what I needed to bring more purpose and meaning into the work that I was doing, and more purpose and meaning into the lives of the people that I was working with. Because I didn't know how to put it into words at the time, but I just knew that it would have to be more than just about money and numbers, to have the depth of the practice that I wanted to run and to participate in. So, and that was let's see, I've been a 14-year student of Kinder. So it's been a long journey, and I've loved every minute of it, and now expanding into helping to train other financial advisors, because I mean, you can help your clients, and I always say I'm helping to change the world one financial plan at a time, but when you're now coaching other financial advisors, and now you know that they're taking all that work, the beautiful skills that they learn through the Evoke training, and then bringing that out to their practices, then you know that you're affecting so many more people with that work as well. So I feel like I have a really good life and work balance that's purpose driven, and it's very very satisfying, and it's very meaningful, very meaningful.
But that's an awesome story. And I'm curious how you gained the confidence or the knowing that it was okay to bring, a softer side to money. Because I mean, you're up in Canada, and I have some advisor friends that are up in Canada. And from what I've always been told is Canadian advisor market is like a few years behind the U.S. market in some respects. So like you were way ahead of the U.S. market when it came to this. So I don't know if there are very many other advisors up north that were talking about this type of work or even thinking about bringing a softer side to money and spirituality. So how did you know to pursue that and that would be okay?
And that's a great question, and I was so relieved, and I was so happy to find out that of the other financial advisors that came from Canada and were attracted to this work, they were from IG Wealth. They were from our company. So I think there's something inherent in our structure and how, I mean, IG Wealth is one of Canada's oldest and largest financial planning companies, and they were based out of Winnipeg, where it was a lot of the farming community, and so the advisors would travel and do kitchen table type meetings, and the kids would be running around and the family was involved. And so there was a lot of that family oriented, and kitchen table type talks where people are going to share more than just their financial statements. They're going to be talking about what means most to them. So I feel that our company is more aligned that way anyways. And I think that the people from our firm were attracted to George Kinder and just made the skills that they already have even better. There was a more of more of a formal process that they could follow when they were working with their clients. So I think there's four of us all together right now. And I know that there's another budding life planner coming from Canada, so I'm really excited to work with him, and I hope in the future there'll be even more.
I want to get to a definition of life planning in a second. Before we do that, I want to give everybody fair warning. We're probably going to talk a lot about Kinder and his approach to life planning. It's not sponsored by the Kinder Institute, so I don't want everybody to think that. But we have both gone through it. You're teaching it, so we're both big believers in it. There are other ways to administer a life planning relationship. Not to say one's better than the other, but I do think that there's something special about the Kinder way. So if there's any advisors listening, you definitely check out Kinder Institute. Make sure it might be the right way for you to kind of go down life planning. But there are other ways. And at the end of the day, like, I don't believe in absolutes. So I think that if you're trying to take an approach where you're putting the values and the wants of the client first, whether you do Kinder or Money Quotient or one of the other ones that are out there, you're still doing a better job of helping clients. But as we're going to get into, I think there are some magical things about the Kinder way that I don't know if the other life planning ways tap into. And that's where we get really into the woo. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. But also I did want to draw attention to the Kinder Institute because I feel like I'm such a big believer in it, and I want to be an advocate for that work because I think it's really special. With that being said, and that kind of out of the way, how do you define life planning? To somebody who's never heard about it before, what is life planning?
Well, the simplest way I could describe it is the alignment of your money with your life, and your life being your life purpose. What did you come to planet Earth to do? Why are you here? What is most meaningful? What is it that is in your deepest heart's core of what you want to have, do, and be? And so life planning, as I define it, starts with having that conversation first and getting to know who the person is, what it is that they want, and then aligning their financial picture with their life purpose and their dreams and goals and the vision for their life. And a lot of times people aren't clear because no one's ever asked them that before. I mean, when you go to post-secondary education or even before that, What do your parents say? What do the elders say to you? What do you want to be when you grow up? And it's a big question. I mean, I don't know yet what I want to be when I grow up. So it's ever evolving. We don't really know how to answer that. But as a child, you usually answer that with an occupation, right? That was the way to answer the question. So. And I think you just get caught up in that life plan that's sort of been shown to us either on pop culture or fairy tales or things like that about getting married, having a family, having the white picket fence, and having a job that's going to support all of that good stuff. But it's more than that. It's more than that, and that's where people run into trouble. 5 or 10 years into their careers, and they find that what it is that they're doing is not in alignment with who they are being. And so let's get that straight and let's make sure that's in alignment. And then the money and the finances, that's easy enough to line up with the vision for your life. But it's getting that vision and that clarity on your own life and what you want to do, whether or not you have a partner, whether or not you have children. It's really important to be clear about what you want from your own life.
Do you find that people know what they want from their own life, or do most people come stuck in the life that they've been prescribed or that has been kind of laid out for them?
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say it is a very rare thing and a wonderful thing when it happens to have someone show up knowing who they are, what they came to this world to do and are pursuing it. A lot of times it is that sort of cookie cutter approach to what life should be or what they think that it should be or what their families told them it should be. And so they're following on a path that isn't even theirs. And so, again, that's okay. We all have to start somewhere. You start out on a path, but if it takes a different direction, then it's okay to know when, you should pivot and when you should stay the course. And having a life plan helps you do that by having it reviewed regularly and making sure that it still aligns with where your soul's evolution is, what your soul's purpose is, and making sure you're not missing anything.
I've found it that I think it's hard for people to know, why they were created until they've had enough life experience to really tap into the things that they enjoy, the things they're best at, and then they can come back and look at the life that they're living and is that aligned with what those are. So what I heard you describe and all that is, basically my concept of the authentic life. Like we have an authentic life that we want to try to find and pursue, and I almost feel like life planning is best when someone has had enough life experience to realize, like, I have a good life and I'm doing some things, but it's not fulfilling and there's more and I don't know how to find it. At least the life planning that I want to do, those are the people I want to help. I don't know if I really want to help the person who already knows who they are. Like, to me, that takes out of the fun of the work. The fun of the work is I'm just discovering, for me at least, is trying to be that guide to help that person find what it is that they're seeking. If you've already found it, I don't know if it's as fun for me, because then that starts to get into the area of the planning that I don't get as excited about anymore, which is the number side of things. I'm really more excited about the beginning phases, the EV and O of exploration, vision, and obstacles. Like, that's what excites me. The knowledge and execution of the numbers, like, that's less exciting. So, but I think that while everybody could benefit from having a life plan, I don't know if everybody is ready to go through the life planning process.
Oh, and I totally agree with you. I believe life planning is for everyone, but yeah, you have to be ready, because if you're not willing to go, into your heart, I mean, it's hard for me to believe that there are people that spend most of their time in their brain and not so much in their heart. But it's, it does happen. And, your heart holds all the answers, they trust your heart. Right. And so, if they're not willing to go there because of past pain, past trauma, not wanting to be authentic. I mean, Justin, not everybody wants to live an authentic life. you know, and that's getting into all kinds of tangents there we could go into, but not everyone wants to or is ready to live an authentic life. And so, you have to have someone who's ready to take the mask off, to break it down, to, reveal themselves, not even to the whole world, but just even to reveal themselves to their own self and with the help of their life planner. So if ever you get resistance, it's usually because it's too deep and they're not willing to do the work at that point in their lives, and that's okay. I mean, I always say it's a pay now or a pay later program. So at some point in your life, there will most likely be some kind of a point where life will break you down to the point that your heart cracks open. And guess what? When that happens, then that's the time that you'll be, I don't want to say forced, but you'll be at least inspired or need to do the work and to really rediscover, or maybe even just discover for the first time who you really are, and be really, really honest with yourself.
I want to go down that tangent of not everybody wants or is ready to live their authentic
Sure.
life. Tell me more.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, that's getting into, your identity, who you identify with. A lot of ego stuff in there. We talk about the ego. You have an ego for a reason. The ego is not a bad thing. But it's your sense of identity and who you identify with and who you want everyone to see you as, what, you want people to mirror back to you. But a lot of times in your ego, you're not showing your vulnerability. And I feel that it's the most beautiful thing, that when someone can actually be vulnerable and not be so clinging to this idea of who they are. I can't do this because, what would people think of me? I'm known to be, financial planner extraordinaire, and I help high net worth and high asset clients. And, these are the kind of financial plans that I deliver. If I start asking questions like, if you only had 10 years left to live, how would you live your life? That's territory that I'm not feeling comfortable with, because that would mean I'd have to have a heart-to-heart conversation, and I'm used to having a mind-to-mind conversation. So that's sort of not in my spectrum. So I think a lot of times people will block out ideas or things that would really, really serve their personal evolution. The sense of self or your ego is an obstacle and doesn't allow you to be vulnerable and authentic, and I just don't want to go there. And if they don't, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not here to drag anybody kicking or screaming, into their authentic selves, but I'm here to be a tool to assist someone if that resonates with them. It's a different vibration, and we can talk about that too, but it's the work that we do is very high vibe, high vibration stuff, and not everybody wants to go there, and that's okay. That's okay. We can bring it down a bit. We can focus on where they're at in their evolution, and I always say I can go as deep as you want, but we don't have to go there all at one time.
I think more people, when they hear about the higher vibrational part of the work we do, and they begin to connect and understand it, I think more people are interested in it if they knew this existed. An example being, I got done with yoga this morning, and there's a gentleman that's always in there, so we're always small talking. And today, for the first time, we went down the path of like what I do and what I'm building and all those types of things. And he's in public health. He's a professor, and he has like when I was talking to him about how I describe life planning, and that traditional financial planning is you put the numbers first and then you build the life to kind of fit within those numbers. And I believe that's backwards. You put the life first and then bring the numbers to that. And so he was loving that. And it was really cool because he lit up as I was talking about kind of the work and the shifting of the perspective. And maybe he's never thought about that before because, stereotypically advisors are not talking like you and I talk for the most part. There's a handful of us out there, but most aren't. And I think more and more people are interested in it. I don't know if it's like a greater awakening of a universal awakening. I don't know if it was the COVID experience that made people kind of question the norm that they had been living under, and they saw that there's other ways, or, the value of freedom, and they want to pursue that more. But I think as more people hear conversations like this, and get an understanding of what life planning is about and how it's attached to the emotions and the higher vibration, I think people are going to be wanting it. And I think that's really cool about the work that we do. But I do think, to your point, they've got to be able to bring the desire and the confidence to be their true self, to really go. And I wonder if the life planning process will help people kind of baby step their way into that. Rather than going from, here's the persona I've been playing for so long and here's the real version I'm supposed to be, and kind of flipping overnight, to kind of slowly getting themselves in that direction.
Yeah.
And the beauty of the work that we do and the expertise we have is, money often is an obstacle, and we have the skills and the talents to be able to kind of remove that obstacle for people. So that's no longer an excuse. Like, it's easy to say, I wish I was living this life, but I don't know how to afford it, versus if you really want that life, and then we can show you how to make it work number-wise. Now you have no excuse to walk in that path that you're supposed to be walking in, that you feel called to walk into.
Yeah, exactly. Money, it's interesting because money is very rarely as big an obstacle as people think that it is. And that's, someone that maybe is feeling some scarcity in their lives right now might say, oh, that's easy for you to say, but it's really true, because most of the things that people desire, I've come to know and I've come to understand with a wide range of people that I've worked with in different asset classes and different stages in their lives, is that people desire things. And when I say things, I mean experiences, relationships, like actual things, items, cars, houses, things like that. But the reason people desire things is because they feel that they will feel better in having that thing. The thing will bring them into a feeling or an emotion that feels better than where they are now. So that's why they desire it. And so those things that they desire don't always have to come about because of a large sum of money, right? Sometimes you can create the experience in another way that doesn't involve having to buy something, or there being a financial transaction. Even just allowing yourself, and this is kind of getting into Dr. Joe Dispenza's stuff, is just allowing yourself to feel the feeling even before you have acquired the thing. Just feel that way, feel the joy, feel the elevated emotions of joy, of gratitude, before you've even got the thing, because then it doesn't really matter because you already feel that way. It's so simple, but boy, people suffer a lot to get to that, to get to that understanding. So,
which it's silly, because I think we can all look back over things that we've purchased or done thinking it's going to make us feel better. And there's maybe the short-term spike in feeling good, and then it goes away. Like, we know that material things are never going to make us happy. Might make our lives easier, and maybe there's some things that make it more convenient, but it's not going to make us happier. I'll go a different direction with the spending and why people are doing. I think part of it also is a search of identity, or search of validation. So instead of being confident in who they are and feeling that self-worth, they're looking externally for that validation. So they need to buy the expensive car, the big house, whatever it might be, to try to get people to give them the love that they want, when really they just need to give it to themselves. Like, that's why I'm really big on the alignment of spirit, mind, and body, and why money is a part of my equation, but it's the last thing. That if you find alignment of spirit, mind, and body, then I believe you will be confident in who you are and happy with your true inner self, that you don't need those things, but maybe you still want them. Like, I have my alignment, but I have a nice car. We have a nice house. Like, those things are still part of who I am, but I have them for me, not for anybody else. So it also doesn't mean that when you find that you have to kind of live like a monk and give everything up. Like, there's nothing wrong with having nice things and spending money and having great experiences, so long as you're doing them for you, not for the external world. So that's why I think that a lot of people's money issues come from a lack of identity or a lack of confidence in themselves, and they're looking for it elsewhere. But when you go through the life plan and you find that authentic life, if you're ready to walk in it, then it becomes less of a need to do all of that external stuff for people. And it allows you to line your dollars up more with your values. And I think it allows you to not spend in areas that you don't really care about because you're not worried about oppressing people. And I think that, like, that was a realization for me personally. Like, I talk about like a midlife awakening. So around 40, I'm 42 now. Around 40 is when I went through this spiritual journey and, awakening and all of these things. And I look at other people that are around my age, and they're kind of hitting that stage as well, which goes back to my belief with the life planning of experience. Like, at 40, we've had plenty of years of experience in the professional world and in the real world, and we kind of get to an understanding of what we really care about, what we value the most, and we're old enough to begin to realize that no one is really paying attention to what it is I'm doing. They don't really care. The people I'm trying to impress don't care, so why am I exerting so much energy to do that? I'm just going to do me. And when you get to do that, it really kind of changes things. And I think that's why people go through that midlife crisis and rearrange their lives. It's not because they're upset. It's that they know what they want because of experience, and they're confident enough because they realize how the game is played to go in on it. And I think that, to me, that's really exciting. But I'm seeing more and more people venture down that path.
Wow.
And I think the heart, I want to go back to your comment about
Yes.
the heart. I do believe that the heart, spirit comes first for me. And when I talk about the spiritual connection, I believe our heart is the direct connection to that higher power, whomever your higher power may be. And that's why we talk about our passions in life, the things that we love. I think if we step back and we believe that we were created for a purpose, which I believe we were, our Creator wants us to fulfill that purpose. So it is giving us clues to say, hey, here's the direction you may go. I also believe that they're not going to make it easy for us because this is a show for them and they want to be entertained. So the entertainment is the winding path we take to get to where we are, the ups and downs. So they're not going to make it easy for us, but it does become a lot easier when you tap into those callings that you have and pursue those. And sometimes they end up being the path you need to go. And sometimes it's the path you need to go to learn some new things, to find the new passion, and you wind your way. But I genuinely believe the heart and intuition is the best guide that we can use as our follower, because it's coming from the source that created you. And I really want people to understand that when I say the source and higher power, I use that language because I want it to be universal. We all, however you connect spiritually, pretty much everybody believes in a higher power that created them. Then that's what I want you to attribute to. So whatever your belief system is, that's what I want you to seek, however that falls out. But that Creator is trying to guide you to the things that you're doing, that you're supposed to be doing, because that's why you're here. And those bring you to what I have discovered, I'm calling now your unique gifts and talents. Like, there's gifts and talents and there's unique gifts and talents. And unique gifts and talents are what make you irreplaceable in whatever it is that you're supposed to do. And your gifts and talents, are important, but they make you interchangeable. So for me, what I realized, and then I'll pause because I'm not supposed to go on tangents as the podcast host, but this is a conversation. This is not an interview. So what I have come to realize, and I've written about it, I have gifts and talents as a financial advisor. I'm a good financial advisor. I've done a good job for my clients. I have a successful business. But if I'm being completely honest, take the relationship aspect of my business away, the numbers, I'm replaceable. You can plug any good financial advisor in my seat and they can do the numbers for my clients just as good, if maybe better than me. But what I've learned my unique gifts and talents are, it comes from my creativity. It comes from my love of storytelling and creating content. And it is this gift that I have of energy and optimism that is contagious and helping people, see things in themselves that maybe they didn't see before and giving them energy to kind of pursue that. Those are my unique gifts and talents. And finding the right situation for me to use those is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that is something that nobody else can do the way I do. So whether that is at the right company or on the right platform, when I find that right spot, nobody will be able to deliver those messages the way that I can and bring that information to the world. And that is my unique gift and talent that nobody can replace me on. But the way I get there and the way I've gotten there just foolishly is following my passions. And you can go back and check the tapes and find all the wandering I've done. And it's all within purpose to get me to where I am today. And the exciting part is I know it's an evolution. And you mentioned that word earlier. And I'll just keep on following those passions because as I, ascend to one mountaintop, now my perspective is broader. I can see further and I see new mountaintops that will interest me. And then it's back down and back up again.
Love it. Justin, I could listen to you all day. Don't ever apologize for your tangents because I've been waiting for this my whole career to find other peers that are in the heart space that you're in and have that understanding, that higher understanding and understand that this has been a journey. You're the sum total of every decision, every action, every inaction, every book you've read, every client you worked with, every client you didn't work with, and that's what brought you to this moment. So I'm just so happy to have more company at this place and time in the financial industry.
There are more of us out there, but a lot of advisors are living in the shadows. And I know this from the DMs that I get and the Zoom conversations I have, because what we are talking about, financial advisors are not supposed to talk about. And so there's this fear of bringing this bigger picture, this higher power, this spirituality to money, because that's not what financial advisors do. But there are a lot of advisors that light up when I go on these tangents with them, or are sending me books they're reading quietly, or asking questions, or just giving feedback on it. So I'm hopeful that more and more of those advisors will come out into the public and begin to shape, because I believe that, whether they do it through life planning or just the conversations they have, I think that the life plan should be coming before the financial plan. Maybe you can make a case that you should do a basic financial plan first to make sure somebody's financial household's in order. They have the right amount of insurances, they have the emergency fund, cash flow's good, debt's under management. So maybe there's a mini financial plan that's done. But then beyond that, the longer term, the bigger picture financial planning, I think has to come after the life plan, because I think the life plan will determine what those numbers and things need to be. And if you put the numbers first, I think you're just going to end up scrapping that plan and redoing it after you go through the life planning process. And I look at it as the life plan and the financial plan, I think they're complementary. I don't think they are replacements. I think they go together, but I think you lead with the life plan.
Well, yeah, and I'm going to step you up even further. I would remove the life plan and financial plan as two separate entities. Because I'm a financial planner first, and my fiduciary responsibility is to deliver a comprehensive financial plan and a money management plan as well. So that's what my professional responsibility is to deliver, absolutely. But how I do it, the way I do that and deliver that is through the journey, through life planning, and using the method that I use, which is Evoke, which is just a series of questions to open up dialogue, the way we communicate with our clients, which a lot of the times is just to sit back and allow them to open up and share what is, most meaningful to them, ask them the right questions, and to just really show that you care about what they really want. And so once you know all of that and the client is clear about the vision for their life, it is very, I shouldn't say very easy, it takes some skill, but it is much easier to develop a financial plan to meet that vision than it would be to, have someone brand new come in. They don't tell you a lot about their lives. I want a 10% rate of return year over year, and I want to have this much money by the time I'm this age. And it's just very, it's not, it's not very rewarding. It's like, sure, I can do that. But, for the same, advisory fee that you're paying me, why don't we, go a little bit deeper? And again, I don't even have to say that. I may be thinking that, but I may try to open it up just with like an open-ended question, like obviously just starting, what brought you here today? And, or when you look at your life 5 or 10 years from now, where do you hope to be? Just questions like that, just to try to open up. I like cracking open hearts. I find all the good stuff in there. So yeah, it's just, it doesn't have to be this big thing, like it's financial life planning at the end of the day. And the financial plan is a piece of it, but the way we get there is through the dialogue about the life.
Hey there. I know that you're enjoying this conversation because I've enjoyed watching it back, but I want to real quickly plug the Kinder Institute for Life Planning. This is not a paid advertisement. This is a client testimonial, if you will, since I've gone through most of the Evoke process. I have one more class, the 7 stages of money maturity, to complete before I have my registered life planner designation. But I wanted to draw attention to the Kinder Institute. Whether you are a financial advisor or you are what we would consider a client, I want to put this on your radar to learn more about it. If you're an advisor and you're enjoying this conversation and you want to take your career and the work that you're doing with your clients to a deeper level, I highly recommend the Kinder Institute. As we've talked about, there are some things that are magical about the approach that Kinder has created for life planning that I think you should look into. If you're a client, I think you should put this in front of your advisor if it's what you want, or seek out one of the many life planners out there that are doing this type of work. But I don't think enough people know about life planning. They don't know about the Kinder way of doing it. And since I've gone through the process and I believe in it so much and I've committed myself to the process for the future of my career, I think it's my obligation and my want to make more people aware of it. So today's little commercial is for the Kinder Institute of Life Planning. Again, this is not a paid advertisement. This is a testimonial of somebody who's gone through the process, who has been life planned and is doing life planning. If you are looking to take your professional life as an advisor, or if you are a client looking to live the life that you want, find that authentic life and align your money with that life, find a life planner, check out the Kinder Institute, check out George's books as well. But I want to bring as much attention to the Kinder Institute and George Kinder's work as possible. All right, well, let's get back to talking about that with Rosemary. And I think the way you one-upped me, not one-upped me, but took me further, is the right way to think about it. The reason I separated is because Louis ruined me. The second day of Evoke training, when he told us how he gave up his financial advisor licensing and all he does is like the EV and O and very little of the like the K and E at the end. And when he said that, combined with it is not the life planner's job to provide any answers, those two comments were like, that's all I want to do. Because prior to going through Evoke, I was already starting to speak. I don't want to be the somebody of anything, but I was talking about how like I wanted to be like a Rick Rubin of finance. Like I don't like, so Rick Rubin, the famous music producer, he doesn't actually produce anything. He doesn't, work the boards. He doesn't do any engineering. What he does is he helps the artists find the song within them and kind of guides them. And then also from time to time, he makes his recommendations that are unique to him that kind of take a song to the next level. But he's not in there doing the technical stuff. He's doing this kind of higher level qualitative, basically like life planning, but for musicians. And so when I heard that, I was like, that to me sounds like a lot of fun. I've done 20 years of numbers. I don't want to stop doing numbers because I do enjoy some of the creativity that comes with planning. And I have a great group of clients that I still want to serve them the way I always have. But if I think about my next 20 years in the business, do I want to be spending time in Right Capital, building out new financial plans and running numbers? No. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do EV and O. And if one of the obstacles happens to be, I don't know how to make the money work, then I have a community of financial advisors. I have a network of financial advisors. Let me connect you to a financial advisor that can take this life plan. We'll brief him on everything or her on everything, and then let them do the numbers. And then let me go back to doing the EV and O and then the creativity stuff. So that's why I separate it, is because I don't personally really want to do the numbers beyond what I have to do for my existing clients going forward. But I do think if I was earlier in my career, I totally would look at it as a financial life planning relationship as opposed to what I want to do is life planning. And maybe even to the extent of where I find some firms that are out there that have a need for life planning. They don't want to go through it. They don't want to hire somebody, and they can just bring me in as an outside consultant. I work with their advisor. I do the life plan, and then I go back and then rinse and repeat so I can continue to develop my skills and do what I enjoy the most, which I think is, my authentic life versus doing something that I have gifts and talents to do, but there's people who can do that just as good as I can. So that's why I separate it out.
Yeah, and I think it would serve, I think, the financial planning community to know that you have that option to do that. Especially for there's quite a few advisors that have done the wealth management and the financial planning part of it that maybe are ready to let that go, but don't want to let the relationships go. So that's a good way to kind of split it off and like you're doing, just doing the when we say the EV and the O, we mean just the exploration, vision, and obstacles components, which takes the client through to the point where they have what we call the torch, which is the vision for their lives. But and then to have someone that's just going to do the financial piece. But there are younger financial planners coming in that will be attracted to this work. And this is a little bit woo woo, but I feel like the last 20 years, and you go through the generations of the baby boomers and the Gen X's, I'm Gen X, and millennials and things like that. But a lot of those younger generations, I don't know, they seem to have been born with another level of awareness. That's where you see the evolution, like again in the 60s with the baby boomers that came through and the movements that come with them. And I think that younger financial advisors will be attracted to this work if it is more than just about the money and the numbers, because it's who they are. It's the vibe that they want to be in and the kind of conversations that they want to have, and they have the insight to see that that's the way to do financial planning. How can you just make it about the money? Why are we not talking more about who the person is and what they want? So I think it's you can make it whatever you want it to be, whether you do it all yourself or whether you sort of branch it out and having two different professionals managing it. But I mean, me personally, I still love doing financial plans. I do like the numbers, and like you said, the creativity, and I love it, when it all matches up and you align it and you can say to the client, yes, we can do this, and helping them to feel confident, right? That's where a lot of times the confidence comes from, and being able to give the good news that, yep, guess what? You're going to be able to do this. And so I still like the money management, but I think if I get to a point where I'm ready to maybe retire from that part, that I would still definitely want to still engage in helping people live their best lives, for sure.
You just said something that sparked a new idea that was not anything I thought we'd talk about: confidence. Okay. How important is confidence to the financial planning process, the client's confidence? And I'll preface it as, I think this is the beginning of us getting into the woo and law of attraction and believing and manifestation. Okay. So how important is confidence in the client? Because I don't think that very many financial advisors think about the level of confidence their clients have in the plan and in the life that is being planned for. And maybe how is that lack of confidence working against the progress of the plan?
Oh gosh, confidence is everything. It's everything. And it also aids the client in allowing themselves to live in those elevated emotions, that they're not in scarcity, fear, suffering, pain, uncertainty, guilt, shame, all of those negative emotions. The minute you tell someone, guess what, you've again, it's not about the amount of money. It's, does the amount of financial energy that they've acquired, the financial resources that they have, whatever that may be, will it support their dream and their purpose to live on this earth? And when you're, again, that's where the technology comes in. We've got some great financial planning software now that we use, and there's no guesswork anymore. You plug the information in, you see the outline, you can see year over year what it looks like. And when you show that to them right away, they see that I'm, 120% funded for retirement at age 60. Or I will be able to accomplish that goal, that the house that I want to purchase, or put my kids through school. I'm right on track. And if I'm not on track, this is what needs to be tweaked. This is what we need to do to get there. So it is really important. Again, people think it's technical work, but it's still emotional work, because they want the feeling. They want to feel confident. They want to feel secure. They want to feel safe. They want, the stability is what everyone wants. Uncertainty doesn't serve anyone, but knowing and having the tools to be able to provide that confidence, and not to say in a way that, oh, don't worry about it, you'll be fine. No, you are good. You're good to go. And here's the evidence to show that. And if you're not, well, this is what we need to step up, and this is what changes. And a lot of times those changes could be very simple things. It doesn't have to be a change in career or selling off their home. Sometimes it's even a change in mind or a change in attitude. So, but confidence, Justin, is everything.
I'm almost ready to have the conviction to say that the more confident the client is in the vision of the plan and the numbers, but more so the vision, the more likely that plan is going to come to fruition. Like, I think that the level of confidence of the client on the vision and the numbers supporting it is what will allow that life to become a reality. And that gets us into like law of attraction and visualization and manifestation. But if they don't believe in it, then I think it's a lot harder to see that plan execute and come to fruition, because there's going to be lower vibrational energy that's being sent out that's going to bring these unplanned, these roadblocks along the way, and things that are going to get in the way from having that plan fully executed. And that goes back to, again, I think the value of the life plan is creating an end vision that the client really wants. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something unique about Evoke, and you and I have talked about that, and I want to get into that now, is what is it that's so magical about the Evoke process that allows, you're never going to find it in anything on Kinder's writing or any textbooks, but what is it magical about Evoke that makes manifestation of this life that they truly want a reality?
Well, the magic happens in the vision, right? And if I forget who said this quote. I don't know if it's Henry Ford, but it's, whether you believe you can or can't, you're right.
You're right.
Right?
Yep. It's Henry
exactly.
Ford.
Okay, good. I remember that. So yeah. So if you believe that you can, then you can. And then when you have the evidence to support that, you'll be even more confident. But the magic in the Kinder method is in the dream and in the vision. And I always ask the client to release yourself from any limitations. This is just about dreaming. Dream the biggest dream you could ever dream it. Don't worry about the details. Don't worry whether it's possible or not, And this is like 20 years ago, I'd say, if you want to be an astronaut, just put that in your plan. And I mean, who knew there was going to be an Elon Musk, and who knew there was going to be, possibly a passenger rocket that you can go into outer space with, right? And now here we go, it's happening. So, Never be afraid to dream your biggest dream, because again, it's really about the feeling that you're wanting to get from the experience. And so, not limiting it and never saying to someone, you can't do this, or, oh, that's ridiculous. Dream, dream, dream. And then, I always say the way will show itself in the most unexpected and magical ways. Everything that you could ever want already exists outside of our physical dimension. Everything is there, whether you want to call that a vortex, whether you want to call it source, whether you want to call it whatever name you want to give it. But, anything that you could ever want or ever imagine already exists. It's just calling it into this life that you're living right now. And once you're ready for it, once you are energetically aligned with what it is that you feel you desire, look out, because it happens so quickly. I always say opportunity loves speed, and I see it so many times. It's like, be careful what you wish for, because boom, it can really happen quickly if you're not ready for it.
I have no studies to back that up, although I have personal experience. And I'm the type of person that I don't need studies and data to support something that I've experienced for me to believe. So I do believe, I know when I get to an internal state where I believe in something that I want to become, when I believe in it enough, I know when I've reached that level that it's going to happen. And I can look back to like when I wanted to start my own firm. Like so I'll back up for a second. So when I think about Evoke and the magic of it, and I hope George doesn't mind me like taking his framework and then extrapolating from what I think about it, because he's never said this. So this is not George Kinder's beliefs on Evoke, but this is what I've experienced. The reason I think Evoke is a hidden version of manifestation is if you ever read anything about manifestation, it begins with a strong visualization. So we talked about the torch statement. A strong visualization that you believe in to the point where you're already embodying that version of yourself. And that's what we're trying to get to with the torch. And then you attach emotion to it, that feeling of being there. Like that is a big part of manifestation. And then the next step is like you have to actually go put work in. So like I heard today on a podcast, I guess I have to like fact check it. So if this is not true, I haven't fact checked it yet, but it happened today. There's an African proverb that somebody said. It was basically that something to the extent of when you're like, as you pray, take steps. So basically like you can't just pray for what you want. You also have to take steps towards it, which I think is that's where manifestation loses people. And I think The Secret, the book, is what caused so much of it. Like you just want something bad enough, you're going to get it. You've got to have the vision. You've got to have the belief, when you believe it, you'll see it. And then you have to put in the work to move in that direction. And once you combine all of those things, that's when things happen really, really quickly, sometimes not in the way that you expected. And going back to like source and the creator wanting to be entertained, sometimes it's not the smoothest transition. But at the end of the day, it gets you where you want to be. But I know when I hit that level of belief and vision, when I'm getting ready to go on this quick ride, it's really cool. And it's hard to kind of help people understand that until they experience it themselves. But I'm sure we can all look back in life and think about something, whether it's a physical thing, a job opportunity, a relationship, something that we wanted really, really bad, that we thought about a lot, that we believed in, and we did some work to get there, and we ended up getting it. And once you realize it once, then you can connect the dots and see other times, and then that's when you can believe in it more. So that's why I think that's where I think the magic behind Evoke is. It's a vision, it's emotion, and it's action, and those together bring that 100%. To you.
100%. Inspired action. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I think that's why a lot of traditional financial plans never get implemented and they never get to be realized, is because there's no inspired action behind it, because it's directing the individual to a life they don't really care about, because it's what society told them or mom and dad told them, and they just go down that path, but there's no inspiration behind it. And that's where I think the magic lies in Evoke. I was going down another tangent before I came back. I forgot where I was going.
I love it.
We'll just
you are
keep
so
going.
lit up. I love your energy. It's fantastic.
So, what are some of the topics that are a part of life planning and even financial life planning that we don't hear advisors talk about? So law of attraction, the flow of money, like what are some of those topics you think are important for people? We don't have to make them experts on today's episode, but just plant the seed of like, learn more about this or see if you've actually realized this, that help the financial plan that aren't going to show up in a textbook or another financial advisor is not going to talk about.
Well, let's just go back again to what we're saying about George's method. And I've always wondered this. I haven't had the chance to ask George. So, George, if you're listening, here's the question. You know, it's like, did George know what he was writing about? Did he know what it was when he was writing it? Like sometimes things, whether it's a song or a book or something, things come through you. They don't necessarily come from you. Was he channeling it? You know, does he even know, you know, sort of how it dovetails and it fits together with things like the law of attraction and you know, visualization and it's you know, even Napoleon Dynamite, Think and Grow Rich, you know, there's that was sort of my first book on the wealth creation, and you know, the last 3 or 4 chapters are about like the subconscious mind, the brain, the sixth sense. So you know, there's obviously some woo woo happening in here that no one talked that way back in that day. When Napoleon Hill wrote that. So, yeah, it's just, it's fascinating to know that there is a process that you can follow and that over time it's evolved in a way that I don't think that people have completely put it together yet. But I have, and you have, and more people are seeing that if you want to deliver to people what they truly want, the life that they truly want, it's if you sort of get out of the way and allow them to feel the emotion of already having it or living it, then you're helping them more than any frantic, you know, uninspired action like, oh, I'm going to need to work 3 jobs, or, you know, something that requires more effort from them than just believing and living into the dream.
Getting out of the way made me think about like the concept that money is in a state of flow. So money flows. And if we get out of the way, I think part of the numbers taking care of themselves is money flows to you and through you also. I'm curious what you think about that. I'll give an example so maybe people listening kind of can picture what I might be talking about. So I gave a talk last week to a small group of people, and this concept, this idea came up. And one woman shared the story that earlier in her life, she got herself into some credit card situation, and she had like $10,000 of credit card. And she's like, oh, this is getting out of control. I need to get under control, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. And shortly after coming to this understanding and beginning to kind of develop a plan, she gets paid for an invoice that she forgot about. And as she's telling me the story, I'm like, wait, just is the invoice you're getting paid for $10,000? And it was exactly $10,000, which basically wiped out the credit card debt. Like that money came to her that, yes, she did the work in the past, but she wasn't relying on it. She kind of forgot about it. And then one day it magically shows up to take care of it. I get a message from somebody that shortly after our session ended, he is in the process of launching a startup, and you know, money is kind of uncertain right now. He gets a message after we talked about this. He gets a message that he got a contract that basically takes care of his expense needs for the rest of the year. So it gives him a 6 to 7 month runway. And yes, again, it was something that he put, but I don't know how many bids he had out. But when this moment of uncertainty was really starting to get big for him, magically everything falls into place and takes care of it. And I think that when somebody is in financial stress, telling them that is a hard thing for them to hear because, we don't really notice it all the time. But how many times in life has a windfall of money you weren't expecting come to you just at the right time to alleviate a stress? And I think that those things happen more and more when we get out of the way. When we're stressed about money, if we can remove that stress, then it frees things up to come to us. And it also flows in another state of, I think there are a lot of people that hoard money. Now, there's a balance between being responsible and planning and saving and investing, because that's important, and being stingy and hoarding money just to hoard it. And the analogy I came up with, which I'm not the first person to say this, but basically if you think about like a river and tributaries, and it comes off the go and there's a dam, if the money doesn't keep on flowing, eventually it dries up. But where the money is, where the water is allowed to flow, it keeps on replenishing and it keeps the state flow. So I think that sometimes people stifle the flow of money to them by being too afraid. The scarcity mindset makes them save rather than letting money flow through them to go do good things. And if you go do good things with that money, I think it keeps on replenishing. As an advisor, I'm sure you have clients that are very charitable, and the charitable clients I have magically continue to have money flow their way, whether it's the markets or other things, and it replaces more than what they gave away, so they can go give away more again. So that's what I mean about money flows. I don't know what your beliefs are on the money being in a state of flow.
Absolutely. Money is energy, and it's something that should be respected and should be understood, but not feared. I like what Bob Proctor says. He says, money is like electricity. It can, if you respect it, it can cook your food, and if you don't, it can cook you. So it's that balance of having that respect for that financial energy, and again, the people that have, I think, the best relationship with money and financial resources are the ones that worry the least about it. It's just like, it's not a problem. I don't think about it. I don't worry about it. I just trust that it's going to come. Whatever I need is going to come. And when you have an attitude like that, it does. They're not worried about the amount of money. And then I have, other people that have more money than they'll ever need in their entire life. And they're unfortunately very unhappy people. So it's allowing the money to flow, and then turning that into taking that financial energy and turning it into something that is what we say in Kinder is, your aloha, which is the gift or the blessing that you give back to the world without any desire to have anything in return. That's a great way to keep your money in the flow, and that's coming into your money maturity. Are you operating your financial resources at a childhood level, or at an adolescent level, or at an adult level? Where are you in your financial maturity? Because that will be very telling as to how you're managing your financial resources.
And just to be sure everybody gets this, neither one of us are encouraging you to go spend a bunch of money on things you don't need and then believe that money is going to magically find itself to you. Like it's not saying being irresponsible, but I think I think the biggest thing is to try to alleviate the stress, which ends up being the block. And back to your clients that, is it kind of the chicken or the egg? What came first? Do they have no stress around money because they're financially stable, or are they financially stable because they didn't stress the money? And I think it is they're financially stable because they didn't stress. But from the outside world, it's going to be, well, of course it's easy not to be stressing over money because you have, a certain amount of dollars, not understanding that lack of stress, that lack of overemphasizing the importance of money is what allowed them to kind of have that. And I also think that I'd be curious, maybe those people who are financially stable and don't have stress, it's not necessarily that they have so much. It's what they need for their life that allows them to not be stressed. So maybe they aren't your wealthiest clients. Back to you have the ones that have more money they can ever spend and they're unhappy. Maybe they're middle of your clients, but they have what they need for the life that they are supposed to be living, and that allows them to be stress-free. More money wouldn't make them more stress-free. It's the balance in finding the life they're supposed to be that's directing how much money they need to have.
Mm-hmm. And I'm crazy with song lyrics. Sometimes a song lyric will pop in my head, and people that know me know that I love a band called Bon Jovi, and one of his latest songs says, "I got what I want because I got what I need." Fistful of friends that'll stand up for me, and he gets it. He gets it. I think he's been so successful in his life because it's his heart that leads. And, whether you're an artist or a writer or business owner, when you lead with your heart and you know what's important to you, the resources come.
My final thought on that is I think that the challenge for people that may not believe that, my challenge to them would be just to give it a try.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have to lose?
Correct.
But I think you have a lot to gain. I think the reward is far greater than the risk of just saying, hey, I'm going to kind of surrender a little bit and not stress. And maybe having a plan in place allows you to alleviate some of that stress because you have an understanding of where you are and where you're going. But to people who don't believe in that and don't think it can be true, I would just say, give it a chance and give it a try and see what happens. Yeah. And once you experience it, then maybe you can believe it a little bit more. And as that belief grows, and I say that from a position where I haven't fully surrendered to all of my beliefs. Like I still have money stories to work through. And one of them, like I figured out why, and I've shared this before, why I had a block on my flow of money to me. For a long time, I believed that making more money, a goal of mine, was greedy. That I have a good life, I make a good income, I don't need more, and the desire to have more is greedy. And so I put a block. Like, again, no complaints on my end, but I have goals that would require me to make more money. But I was always afraid to make that my goal because I thought of greed was attached to it. And what I finally realized, and I'm in the process of kind of removing that block altogether, is that if my desire to make more money is to go do good things with it, my aloha, to go do good things for the world, then why should I limit how much money I want to make? Like, I should be trying to gobble up every dollar I can and pull it away from the people who are going to do bad so I can go do good with it. And I finally realized that, and I'm seeing on the forefront where I think that I'm going to finally break through that glass ceiling because my beliefs have changed.
I'm so glad to hear that, because your flow of abundance is directly proportional with the good that you're putting out in the world. So yes, receive it. Allow yourself to receive.
I want to see if there's any stories from your work, maybe one, to save us on time. And obviously anonymously share these details, but a story of manifestation through the evoke process with a client of yours.
So it happens all the time in little ways, just, again, checks come in and just small things. But a big moment happened last year, and it actually happened in one of the mentorships. We were doing a demo on working with a couple, and I was the planner to work with. So it's an actual attendee of the mentorship and his wife. And so in front of everyone, with everyone as an audience that we're all learning from the experience, I engaged them in the evoke process as I would anyone, treated them completely as if they were a new client. And so they gave me all their exercises. I went through, did the phases with them. But one of the things that they really wanted was they wanted to have a new house. They wanted to live in a house. The place where they were living was too small. They had 2 kids already and had just had a new baby boy, and so that was really palpable for them as far as what they wanted. So long story short, when I built the torch, in addition to all the things that they wanted, she wanted to be more lighthearted. She wanted more work-life balance. And he had also some career goals, and as well, wanted a place in the home where, it could be his, like to have his man cave and that sort of thing. So in their torch that I delivered to them was a vision for a year from that time. And I think we did it. It was last summer. It was like May of 2023. And I set the time because in the torch, what the torch is, let me just describe that. It's like a little movie. It's like a trailer of coming events, or what you're, the life that you want, sort of in a little mini movie, a little, what do they call them now? Reels. We'll call it a reel. Right? That's what it is. It's just like this little mini clip of this vision for your life that you want. So I put it a year from now, and I had them, living in this beautiful house, and it was going to be their first child's first birthday party, and their family was all there, and they were outside having a barbecue, and just presented this beautiful vision and incorporated all the things that were meaningful to them, and that they wanted in this little mini movie. And so over the summer, I just said to them when we parted after the vision phase, I just said, live into the vision, don't think about what could get in the way. And behind the scenes, when we weren't on a call, I did work with them through the obstacles phase, and so they knew what could possibly get in the way, and they kind of worked through that on their own. But unbeknownst to me, when we were going to do the obstacles phase in front of the class, what I didn't know was they had basically, over the course of the summer, found a home. Because even when we were visualizing it, what does the house look like? Maybe drive around in neighborhoods to see, what kind of house that you like, where's the area that you want it to be, how many rooms is it going to be, what kind of a backyard, is it close to the schools? And their daughter, who likes to draw, I said, even have her draw a picture of the house and put it up on the fridge. So really, I kind of left them in this phase of just visualizing and not knowing, and right before the last part that we were going to do in front of the group, which was the obstacles phase, they announced to everybody that they had found a house, and it happened that fast. And it just like they'll tell you, it just was so crazy how it just all came together because they were ready. And I did have a financial meeting with them, and reassured them that yes, the numbers worked. So that gave them the confidence. And I think once they had the confidence and they had the green light, and then boom, it was like, all right, we can make this happen. So let's do it. And they surprised everyone on the call, thinking that this vision was going to be a year out, and they did it in less than 2 months.
Once you reach that level of belief and vision and emotions, it comes quick. It really does. I love that story, and I think you told us that story in class, this is the one I was hoping you were going to share.
Okay.
So and I'm sure there's many of them out there, but just I want people to understand like what manifestation kind of means, because there's the super woo-woo version, and then there's versions like this that people might try to chalk up to be coincidence, that it just so happened like the house came up in the market. But I think that right house came to them because of the work that you did with them. And the thing that's tough is we can't prove it, but we've experienced it enough ourselves and have seen other people to experience to know that without that work, that house would not have come. And again, I don't need the data to convince me that I'm right, because I know it's right, but other people do. So I just hope that like more stories like this allow people to visualize what's possible, and then maybe they can make similar connections on a smaller front. Maybe it's a car or a job opportunity or a trip. Like there's lots of different ways. It doesn't have to be a grand expense. There's a lot of ways that things can come to you that you really want. And then again, once you experience it, then the belief level goes up of what's possible. I always like to try to give listeners or viewers something tangible to take away. And we went like really high level and woo and a lot of belief stuff, but do you have any like favorite resources that aren't official life planning things that might help people kind of just begin to determine who they really are? What is the life they really want? Are they living someone else's life versus their own? Do you have like books or people to follow, or any resources you like to share with people? And I'll put these all in the show notes.
Yeah. I have so many resources, and it really depends on again, in the moment, if I'm having a conversation with them and I feel that I'm being called to sort of present that to them, when it comes to books or movies or things like that, I do believe that the resources come to you at the right time. And, you know, so I don't like to force information on people. You know, like you and I recently shared something that you knew about that I didn't know about, and I really appreciated that. But I'm always open to that, and so I'm ready to receive it. So, but they're depending on where someone is. Like again, if they're thinking more, if like say they have money obstacles, right? If they have money obstacles and they have blocks, what you know, maybe I'm going to call it a block or a, you know, something that's holding them back from having more abundance in their life. One of the fellows that I found had a lot of really good things to say. Was his name is T. Harv Eker, and he wrote a book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I find that this one it's a great book. It's an easy read. It's not really heavy, and the way he delivers it, it's like you know, he doesn't sugarcoat things. Like he will tell it as it is, and you know, he will help you see where you're getting tripped up in how you're playing your money game and how you're playing your wealth game. And first of all, you know, removing a lot of those obstacles that are keeping you from having the financial resources that you want. So that's one thing. Then obviously when it comes to, you know, living your best life, then, you know, I'm going to direct them to Life Planning for You, which even if you're not working with an actual registered life planner, you can still have the Evoke experience through this book and through the website that allows you to experience, you know, at least answer the questions, at least gain clarity in what it is that's most important for you, and actually, you know, kind of in your own way, deliver, you know, your own torch just by writing it out yourself and allowing yourself to even see it. So that's a good one. And then obviously right now it's all about, for me, it's all about Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I'm finding that for me at this point in my journey, he's the culmination of everything I've studied up until this point, that as I read through the book I'm reading right now is Becoming Supernatural. And it's just, oh my gosh, I learned that in this book. I learned that, you know, it's like, okay. And he's bringing it in together in a way that's comprehensive. And it basically explains to you how, you know, you're the only thing that's holding you back from living your best life. You know, have the power to design and live, you know, the best life you could possibly imagine for yourself. It's all there. It's all waiting for you. You just have to be ready to receive it. You've got to be in an energetic place to be ready to receive it. And so that's what I'm studying right now, because it gives me the confidence that I can say that to other clients and help bring that confidence forward to them. Because let's face it, a lot of people feel powerless. A lot of people feel, you know, that they don't deserve it or they can't pull it off, whatever that might be. So if those are the limiting beliefs that are keeping people stuck, you know, all you have to do is change your thought, change your belief, and miracles can happen overnight if you're willing and ready to do that.
Not the first time Dr. Dispenza's name's come up on this podcast, and I doubt it'll be the last. One day I'm going to have him on the podcast.
I would love that.
But and until then, I'll keep reading his books, and his story is awesome. So people should know who he is, but if not, I'll have the link to that book as well. I think those are all great resources. I hadn't heard of the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, so I'm going to check that out as well. But this has been an awesome conversation. And as I was thinking about it, I thought we should like do a regular, maybe every other month, or like a mini series of like diving deeper in. So like one thought I had was for advisors that are kind of moving in the direction you and I are in, like how do we maintain our alignment and our higher consciousness to help our clients as well, because I think our consciousness as an advisor impacts the outcomes of our clients. And I steal that from a book and a study on doctors and consciousness. But I think if it's true for doctors, then it's true for advisors. So after we get done and like emails and stuff, I think that we can come up with like 5 or 6 follow-up episodes that dive deeper into some of these things. That would be a lot of fun, because this was an awesome conversation. And these are the conversations I want. Like, I want to bring woo to finance, because whether people are ready for it or not, there is a lot of truth in it, and not very many people in finance are talking about it. And I just want to expose people to the possibilities and then let them go with it wherever they want. So this was awesome.
It's not a scary conversation. It's a wonderful conversation. And you see people light up, when you're talking to them that way. So you've hit something in their hearts and their souls. And so if you come away from a conversation feeling energized, you're doing a good thing. So yes, let's do it.
Do you have any closing thoughts, any final thought you want to leave everybody with? And then I'll let you get back to the...
just that, again, I've noticed that I think as people are going through their own personal evolution, whether it's just something that's happening in their world and it's happening collectively, people are more open to this kind of conversation, and they're more open to working with professionals that have that sort of, enlightened, I guess I'll say, way about them, that they're showing up, whether it's a doctor, whether, it's a therapist, or whether it's a financial advisor. Who wouldn't want to work with someone who has, who's plugged in, that's plugged into that energy? Who wouldn't want to work with someone like that? So I think that we're going to see the area of financial planning continuing to evolve. And I think the last thing I want to say on that, what I would love to see, the vision I'm holding, is that the larger financial planning corporations start to understand that yes, their responsibilities, seem to be to the shareholder, but can we not also bring in that the responsibility is to help people on a higher level, and that you can have success and profitability, but you can also do it in a way that expands people's hearts and is meaningful and rich to individuals and families.
That is a great closing thought. If people want to connect with you, where should I send them to?
Oh dear. Well, I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. I have a LinkedIn page. I'm on YouTube. I have YouTube videos. Or they can email me.
I won't put your email out there because I don't want you to get like spam bot connections, but I'll link to the Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. From there, they'll be able to find you.
Yeah.
And I'll link to LinkedIn will be a good way for them to find you as well. So that'll be easy to find them. And I'll also have all the books and everything we talked about as well. So, Rosemarie, I want to thank you for your time today. This was an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
I was excited to do this, even though we were supposed to do this a couple weeks ago and I messed up the scheduling. So appreciate your understanding and not being mad at me. And this is an awesome conversation. So I thank you again.
Thank you so much, Justin.